Hi everybody, I'm back for part 2, and you can see that I'm now at my home studio, and I am going to finish off showing you how to use this wool. I'm actually going to turn the camera this way so that we have a little bit better light, and I'm going to slide around a bit. So you take the, someone was asking about carded fleece. You take the fleece and you want to use it about like that, and then you can even pull it a little bit if you want and use it very delicately. And then if you have a strip like that, you can just hook it. Okay, I may have to get up and grab something here and there as we go through these questions because I'm just doing it live as we're going along. Okay, this is a good question. Given that we've taken the course, how do we proceed from here to finding our own voice without creating knockoffs of your work, Deanne? How do you get your ideas for rugs, or rather where, and can you give us some tips? Okay, style is a huge part of, being an artist, I guess. And I think that it's, I've always felt, I guess, that it's kind of an internal mining of yourself and trying to understand who you are and what you need to reflect. Like, it is true that a lot of the activities that we did, you were feeding back to me what I showed you how to do. And that was the purpose of this course in the beginning, was about getting wild with wool. Now, I think really, if we were to do Getting Wild with Wool 2, or if you were to just keep on working, what you want to do is go back to the rugs that you made before, and go back to the rugs that you made in this course, and try and blend the two of them together to create your own style. Style is about reflecting the way that you see the world. So the best thing is to try and understand and reflect on the way that you see the world, and that was the point of a lot of the activities in this course. I think one of the things that I do, just a tip, you wanted a tip, is if I see something beautiful that inspires me, I don't keep a picture of it around for a long time if I think I'd like to make something like that. That's why I've never sort of, like, I have a few things on Pinterest or whatever, but they're not really things that I intend on hooking or creating. So I would never ever take another person's hooked rug and really look at it and try and recreate it. Like, I'm not interested in that. But I might take a person's painting or an image and think, what would happen with that if I was going to make a hooked rug of it? And then when I went to make the hooked rug, that image would be nowhere to be found. I wouldn't have it in front of me, or I would never use it as a reference, because that interferes with my own style and my own ability to do things. Is there going to be a DVD coming out with the class videos on it? I don't really know. I mean, we're really early in this stage. At some point, we may do a DVD with 2 or 3 classes on it. What we may do is have a course package with a really sleek looking audio book, so that you could buy the course and then you could buy the course package if you wanted to, or you could just take the course. How do you get your ideas for rugs, or rather where? Well, sketching, gathering, looking around me. I'm influenced by people, I think, the way people look and the way they treat each other. That's a weird thing to say, but that does inspire me. The landscape, the trees, nature, beauty, So the next question is, how would you handle fog or northern lights? Well, for fog, what I do is I just use all gray tones. So instead of trying to make it look foggy and misty, because that's really hard to do, you can't get that sort of see-throughness, everything that I hook would have a gray, like it would almost be as if it was overdyed in gray. So the house would have a gray tone. Everything would have, not that they'd be gray, it could be blue with a gray tone, or orange with a grayish cast, So that's how I would do it. Northern lights, I'd have the lines coming up out of the ground, and I'd use things like greens and reds and pinks. I mean, when I have seen the northern lights only maybe 3 times in my life, that's what I saw: yellow, and a lot of in that dark blue or in the dark black, the way that I saw them. Of course, they are different everywhere that you see them. What are the relative merits of a Shedicamp frame and a gripper frame? Well, the gripper frame is portable, so that's a relative merit. Brenda's husband makes both of those for us in the studio. She prefers the gripper. I prefer the Steadicam. For me, the Steadicam, so the gripper is good because it's tilting. It's great for small projects, I guess, and it's on your lap, and you can take it anywhere you want to go. The merits of the Steadicam frame is that your fabric remains tight like a drum, which has been very important to me. In my hooking. Like I like that, and I like it that my fabric can be laid upon the frame. I like it that it's really like I can see a lot of the whole area of what I'm hooking. So and it kind of moves with me, like it's not a perfectly sturdy thing, so it sort of moves with me when I'm hooking, and it's very comfortable. Do you have any hints for hooking evergreen trees? Yeah, you know, the best hint I have for evergreen trees is don't only use green. Look at blues and wines, and always sort of hook them down on a slant, you know, with the tree. But look at other colors, and because that will give you depth. A lot of people just sort of go with a couple forest greens, and I think I did at first too. But lately I've been using plums and wines and blues, and that really helps a lot. I was taught to cut wool fabric strips parallel to the selvage. Is this necessary? And if so, how do I figure out the best way to cut recycled wool without the selvage? Again, every wool is different. Try it one way, try it the other, and you shouldn't have any problem. That's the simplest method, really, because it's really hard to tell you exactly without having the wool in front of me. Webinar. Show mounting pins do you use to hang the mats on the wall? Name or brand of the product. I don't have them right here, but the mounting pins that I use to hang the mats on the wall are called map pins. I do have a little YouTube video that I'll try and get back up on my blog in the next month or so. And basically it's a pin about a half an inch. If you saw a straight pin with a plastic top on it, a little plastic round ball, it's the same thing, but it's short, and they're called map pins. So anybody who sells things for maps or any office supply store, if you ask them, they should have them. And so it's map, N-A-P pins. If you've ever gone to a garage station and they have a map on the wall and they have pins all over to people who visit it, you know, I don't know if anybody does that anymore, but that's exactly what they are. For a webinar, can you please show the backs of small landscapes? I'll be right back. I've got one right here. Thanks. It's a very honest webinar here. Here's the back of a small landscape. You can see it. Almost looks like the front, doesn't it? There's the front. So here's the little landscape. Oh, hard to get the camera right. Okay. And here's the back. That should give you some idea. Now, if I was going to bind this landscape, because some people did you had a lot of questions about binding, I'd just take it and fold it in half here, and then fold it again, right? And hand sew it. That's what I'm doing most of the time when I'm binding. It's a very simple method of binding, and I like it. I do it because that's the way I like it. If I was putting the rug on the floor, I would put some back twill tape over the back where the burlap is shown, so that you could, so that it just protects it. Would you tell us more about the content of the content of how to hook DVD and the video similar to what you did here? No, it's different. It goes through the creation of one whole rug, but there's a lot. It's a really good DVD if you know, for now, because I don't have all these videos on DVD, and I won't be putting them for quite some time because I'm not sure how I want to do it. I think that is a good choice. It's $24.95, and if you don't have it, it's a great DVD. It's very helpful, and it goes a lot over background, like hooking the ocean, hooking the sky, hooking the land, hooking houses, and you know, it's an hour-long DVD, and it's just chock full of information. If you had to recommend only one book of yours, which would it be? I know this may be difficult, but knowing the content of each one makes it hard to know what to buy first. Well, if you're just, it's different needs for different people, but if you're just starting out, Hook Me a Story is really the best one in terms of it gives you a great foundation. But my favorite book is the last book that I wrote, which is called Inspired. And it has, you know, like, it has a chapter on hooking people. It has a chapter on hooking houses. It has a chapter on hooking people, hooking houses. Just one second and I'll get it. It's right here. I sat down the other night with it, and I read it again, and I think the writing in it has a lot. If you want to know about creating style, then this is a good book for you. It has about a chapter on hooking the landscape. It has a chapter about hooking stories and about hooking people and hooking winter, and it has a chapter about, and you know, so, and then there's stories in it about creativity and spirit, people and community, winter and worry, prayer, finding beauty, 7 acres, living on the land, you know, walking, and about the marvelous is all around us. So that's this one, and it is my favorite book. If I had it to do over again, I would have hired a photographer for it, because I did the photography. So the photography isn't as good as it could be, as it would be if I was going to do it again. So, because now I'm better at it. That taught me to go teach myself how to take better pictures. In many of your pictures, you have inserted black lines to provide details. Can you discuss this technique on your technique on this topic? Well, your black line is often your outline, or it's an accentuating point. So if I was doing the folds of a clothing, you know, I might put a line through here, or in a field, there might be a few black lines, and it just gives the sense of depth. So it's almost like when I sketch now, I hold on to the black lines in the sketches, because I think that they're worth, I don't know, like when I see the sketch and the sketch looks like you can really see the softness of the sketch, then I hook those black lines in to sort of accentuate the image, I guess. Will you show the progress of how you attach the burlap to the Steadicam frame to begin a new rug? I can't do that right now because I haven't got a frame here, but basically all you do is on the Steadicam frame. Well, first of all, there is a video on my blog about this, under videos, about using the Steadicam frame. So that's already been shown for you if you want to go look at it. But I'll tell you here, basically you fold your burlap in and you hand sew the burlap to the canvas that is on the rods of the Steadicam frame, and that's how it's done. Do you take the tension off your frame when you are not working on a design? No, I leave it tense, but I mean, I'm not working on a design over a period of a year either. So I might, if I, you know, might not be a bad idea. Like I'm working on a rug over a week or a month or something like that. I notice when you hook, you do not hook a border around your pieces. I was taught always to hook a border first so that I do not hook outside the lines. What are your thoughts on that? Well, I hook outside the lines. That's my thoughts on that. So, and I want to hook outside the lines, and I encourage you to hook outside the lines a little bit, you know. That holding line, I find it a very, that idea of a holding line around a rug, personally, I find that a way to stiffen your piece, and I don't want my pieces to be stiff. So that's what I'm thinking. But I am only one teacher with one set of ideas, and you need to take my ideas, mix them with the ideas of other great teachers that you've had, and your own ideas, and the things that you've learned in experimenting, and that's how you'll develop style, and that's how you'll become the way you hook. How do you balance people with landscape elements? Well, when you put a person in, all of a sudden the rug becomes about the person, okay? So if you put a person in a rug, that's a people rug as far as I'm concerned. It's no longer a landscape rug. So because people are so interesting to other people, really, and so that's the first thing they're going to look at. So you have to know that that's going to be the focal point of your rug. And how do you balance water, sky, land, houses, people when designing a pattern? Well, that's composition. Susan Green asked that question. That's composition. So you just take the basic rules of composition. And if you Google composition or check Wikipedia for composition, I think that you'll get the basic rules. Like there's a thing called the rule of thirds, which means that you should, sort of your picture should should be in 3 parts rather than 2 parts. I think Judith had a rug on there and she was worried about the pie shape, and I said to her on our forum there in the activity section, her horizon line was right in the middle of a rug, so it divided the rug into 2 parts as opposed to putting it into 3 parts. So that's one thing. I think I'll keep going here and we'll see how it goes. I hope I'm not going to bore you to death, but you know, you can stop anytime and come back later.